Barbara Peters. Welcome to another episode in the Criminal Calendar. We have with us today an author who is considerably younger than me in years, but considerably older than me in crime. Marcia Muller. Hi, Marcia.
Hi.
So nice to have you. Do you ever get tired with that label attached to you about being the mother of the woman sleuth movement?
Oh, sometimes, yes, mainly because I think I'm the grandmother by this point.
I've noticed that there's, I hear that all the time, and I thought if I were hearing that all the time, it might make me feel like like I was past it or really getting old. But in fact, you and your sleuth, Sharon McCone, made your first appearance in my own copy there, Edwin of Aaron Shoes.
1977.
So in terms of the woman sleuth movement, if there is such a thing, that really is a long time ago.
Yes.
And when I say woman sleuth, what is it I'm actually referring to?
Well, in the case of Sharon McCone, you're referring to woman private investigator.
I think it is a label that was not attached early on, but became common after Sisters in Crime made their big push in the 80s to have women authors reviewed more often. There was a perceived inequity that male authors got more attention and more reviews.
There definitely was an inequity at that time. Male authors were taken much more seriously by the major publications, and Sisters in Crime was formed to bring more visibility to women authors. They've also been very, very good in helping along new authors, both male and female, as they come into the field.
They don't actually bar men for membership, do they?
Oh, no. No, they don't.
So were you instrumental in the formation of Sisters in Crime? I know Sarah Paretsky often gets credit, but I'm not clear that that's really the case.
Actually, Sarah Paretsky was the founder and first president of Sisters in Crime.
Aha. Great. We're looking forward to having our first event with Sarah this fall.
Oh, good.
I'm really pleased. There's only a handful of major mystery authors that haven't come into our store at this point, and Sarah's one of them, so I'm really looking forward to it. So the purpose was really what, to put some pressure on the media and just get people to take things seriously?
To put pressure on the media, I think also to train women in how to promote themselves, how to present their books in a more positive and prominent light. And it certainly resulted in a great upswing in the number of female authors who were paid attention to, who were reviewed in the major publications. In fact, a whole subgenre, really, of strong women character books emerged from this.
So what kind of, what can we assign to the quote woman sleuth? She's, as you say, she's what, generally a private investigator?
Oh, she can be anything. She can be an amateur sleuth, someone in a profession such as yours, for instance, who stumbles across dead bodies and mysteries. She can be an attorney, police officer, virtually any field. I'm fond of telling people that the mystery genre encompasses just about something for anyone.
Absolutely true. And in fact, I think sometimes creating a nexus between whatever the investigator's profession is, if they're not a policeman or professional sleuth, and the crime is the most interesting part.
Yes, it can be. It can be extremely difficult.
You bet. And so, in your case, of course, Sharon is a private investigator, so
yes.
She has she doesn't have to overcome that problem. But additionally, isn't part of the deal that the woman needs to solve the crime without drawing on male help, although oftentimes they do wind up having romances or some sort of affiliation with a policeman. You still have to work out who's going to do the actual arrest.
The woman should be the primary investigator. She's generally independent. She's generally goes ahead and follows her own lead. Now, in Sharon's case, she calls upon men to help her all the time. For instance, her nephew, who is an employee and has the computer skills, all sorts of other employees, contacts on the police. But she is always the one who puts it together in the end and brings the criminal to justice.
And in some cases, the woman takes a fair amount of physical punishment. So I've noticed that in a lot of books, women have acquired martial arts skills in order to.
Yes, Sharon acquired those early on. In fact, in Edwin of the Iron Shoes, I had a scene where I wanted her to get a criminal in a judo hold and flip him. Well, I knew nothing about this, but my former husband at the time did, and he said, "Oh, well, I can show you," and we practiced it a few times, and in our living room with the furniture pushed back, fortunately. And at one point, I got hold of him and flipped him. He was not expecting it.
How wonderful. I've never tried it. I wonder if you could do it, because we're both small. I guess maybe I could.
It's a matter of getting on the right angle and the right hold. It doesn't take a great deal of strength.
Well, I think, you know, it in a way, in some cases I have found with books it's almost formulaic, you know, that you see, here's a woman who does Tai Chi or, you know, learns kickboxing or something. Of course, a gun, I guess, is really an equalizer in lots of ways, too.
A gun is, I am not comfortable with guns myself, but I've always felt that she should be proficient in it and also be a responsible gun owner.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I was just reading a new book by Martha Lawrence in which her psychic detective, Elizabeth Chase, is now practicing with bow and arrow.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
And in fact, it comes into play somewhere in the book.
Oh,
although
that's
this
great.
can't be common.
No, that's the first I've heard of it.
Well, she had a reason. She was doing some shamanistic things, and I think that the Indian who was working with her, you know, it all sort of figured into the plot. But nonetheless, there are weapons that women can use to kind of equalize the body difference. But it seems the body weight difference. It seems to me that one of the problems you do have, though, with a sleuth who is not a cop, is at the end, who's going to make the collar? Mm-hmm. And that sometimes is where having some kind of relationship, whether, I mean, certainly in V.I. Warshawski's part, is not a romance. Mm-hmm. With Kinsey, it's not a romance. I think Karen Kievsky, for a while, she did have, when she was writing, her sleuth, Cat Colorado, did have.
Yes.
But he was a cop in a different jurisdiction, which gave her some operating room. He was, I think, in, trying to remember, was it Las Vegas or something?
Yeah,
and she was in Sacramento.
Places. Yeah, it can be a problem with the cop romantic interest. I blundered into that early on, and it became difficult to have Sharon's boyfriend, the cop, turning up at the scene of every homicide. Also, he had a rather abrasive, unpleasant personality, and I got very tired of him. So I kicked him upstairs onto narcotics, and she doesn't have to deal with him anymore.
Well, that was kinder than just shooting him.
Yeah, yeah.
Julian Roberts was thinking, I think, at one point about truly maiming the, or eradicating. And in fact, who was it? Dana Stabenow did in a recent book.
Oh, I haven't seen
Oh, yeah, she did.
Oh,
and so did, I think that Karen Kievsky in her last book for Cat Colorado, it opened on the death of the policeman boyfriend. I think that's, I mean, that might be useful again. So it does seem like a better idea to just promote him.
Yes, it was better that way. Also, he's still there, although they're no longer involved, but she can always ask him things if she needs to know.
So what happens when you are writing a series that is enormously long running? You are, what, at 20, 22, 23?
20, I'm just working on 22 now.
So when you have carried her, and that's, even though she may not age in real time, it's still, you've been writing them for over 27 years. You wind up evolving a cast, don't you?
Yes, and you do age the character. It's just at a much slower rate. Sharon and I started out the same age, and there's quite about a 15-year disparity now. But you do add cast members. Sometimes you get tired of the cast members, so you send them away and bring in others. And a whole family evolves, a whole group of people who are all intertwined and who know one another, and some appear in one book, others appear in the other. It's great fun.